it is more important than ever, although it was always incredibly important to take time for self-care. Um, Now, when we are facing a pandemic and we need to be incredibly attentive to our own health and wellness, mindfulness is actually an important tool to stay healthy, both mentally and physically. So I would love for the next half hour of our time together to walk you through what is mindfulness, what is meditation. It's an interactive workshop, so I'd love to invite you to try it out, participate with me, enjoy some guided meditation along the way, and just understand better when we're done with this workshop and the next few workshops, how we can integrate these practices into our everyday lives. Meditation and mindfulness are not skills just to be used sort of seated in a quiet spot on the floor. These are exercises for the brain and the body that help us find more calm, that help us be able to have these incredible tools to focus our attention, to be more present. And all of these things have incredible impacts on our health and wellness. There's endless studies about the physiological impacts of mindfulness and meditation on our physical health, like lowering blood pressure, helps with sleep, helps with eating healthy, helps with physical relaxation, helps with focused attention. And from there, when we relieve the physical signs and symptoms of stress, there's so many other things like inflammation, which is the cause to so much disease. So mindfulness and meditation actually can have a huge impact on our well-being, both physical and mental. So I'd like to start this workshop with a little exercise that will give us an introduction to what mindfulness is. It's a word that's used all the time. So I wanted to start with this beautiful guided visualization to give us all an idea of what we're doing. So this will help us define the term and also be a good experiment. When I teach meditation, I always invite you to sort of look at the next few minutes as an experiment, as a laboratory, and we are the subject. So we're learning more about ourselves and the incredible power of our minds and the impact it has on our bodies. And we can use it in a very powerful and positive way. So for this first exercise, and then we'll after we do this introductory guided visualization, I'll give you a little bit more detail on mindfulness techniques and tools, and then we'll do another guided mindfulness meditation. I want to mention before we do that in terms of any questions, I love questions, I love comments. So for anyone who's new to Zoom, although I think maybe no one is new to Zoom anymore, there is a chat box at the bottom of your screen. And if you click the little icon that says chat, there's a little box that shows up. If at any time you have questions or comments about what we're doing, please feel free to type it in. I will monitor that and read those, and I'm happy to answer questions along the way. Okay, so let's go ahead and find a comfortable posture. Now, for this first exercise, what I'd like to invite you to do is if you could snap your fingers right now. And if you could go anywhere in the world that is peaceful to you, that is sort of your special place. It can be a place you've been on vacation. It can be a place that you imagine you'd like to go. It could be a place from your childhood that you just love. If you could pick one place to go right now that brings peace and calm, that is just sort of your favorite and special place, think about where that would be. And then for the next just few moments, I invite you to just close your eyes for a moment. And I want you to imagine that you're there right now. So imagine you're in this really special, peaceful place. And in your imagination, just look around. Notice what you are surrounded by. Take in the objects, take in the colors, the shapes. Just notice what is all around you. Beautiful. Then notice if there are any sounds. Imagine what sounds would be around you. Maybe it's very quiet. Maybe there's sounds of nature. Then notice if there are any smells. Beautiful. Then notice, what is it that you imagine yourself doing there? Are you sitting? And if you're sitting, notice what you're sitting on and how that feels to just sit. If you're lying down, notice how that feels. Even if you're moving or walking, just fully imagine how it feels to be doing whatever it is you are doing in this special place. And finally, just notice how it feels to be there. You can take a nice deep breath and imagine breathing in that peace and calm. And a nice exhale. Beautiful. Take one last moment to look around, imagining you're in this beautiful, special place, knowing how it feels to be there. And then we're going to bring ourselves back into the room you're sitting in. I'm just going to ring this beautiful bell, the sound of the bowl. You could just listen to the sound and just keep that feeling of calm or peacefulness in the body as you just listen. And then whenever you're ready, if your eyes are closed, you can open your eyes. Welcome back. I often do these talks for large groups, and people just want to stay there. I work a lot with kids in schools, and when I do that in a classroom, they say, oh, can we just do that a little longer? So that was a guided visualization, and if anybody wants to, I would love to hear where you went. You can type just with one word or two words or a sentence where you went in your imagination. It's always fun to see those. But while you're doing that, I want to just highlight why we did that exercise. Oh, I see Stephanie wrote, I was on a mountaintop in Vermont. Beautiful. Thanks, Stephanie. A couple things. Nicole on a beach. Nice. Yeah. A couple things to note. Many of you probably were outside in nature. Maybe all of you. I would say about 98% of the time when I do this guided visualization, people imagine themselves outside. Not always, but very frequently. One thing to note about that is the power of nature, the healing and calming power of nature. Being outside in nature, taking a walk, sitting outside, walking on the beach, being in a forest, all of those are incredibly healing. There's so much science and research on this because when we are outside, our attention broadens, our awareness opens, and we feel like we're just a small part of a much greater, very beautiful world, and our problems feel much smaller. Takes us outside of ourselves. And in many ways, that has a lot to do with what meditation does, believe it or not. Let me just read. Lori said, I was in a walled garden at Dromoland Castle in Ireland. Beautiful, beautiful. I love hearing where people went. So one is to know that being outside is very healthy. It's good to know that, especially now. I don't know if any of you all are noticing this, but I've been home for very many weeks, and I feel this sort of urge to be outside. I love my walks. I love when the sun is shining to sit outside. It's really like a human instinct to connect to the natural world and to feel that healing power of being outside. So that's one thing to know. Secondly, I ask you to think about where you were and what you were doing, and you're welcome to type this in as well. What were you doing there? And I would venture to guess that most of you, if not all of you, were fully immersed in what you were doing. Stephanie was on a mountaintop in Vermont taking in the view, right? Nicole was on a beach, I'm guessing, Nicole, but just sitting and listening to the waves or watching your children play. You were just there. Right? Lori, perhaps you were just in this beautiful setting in Ireland, just taking it in. The reason that is so important is that is what mindfulness is. Mindfulness, the definition of mindfulness, is intentionally paying attention to your experience as it's happening in this moment without judging it, just opening to it experiencing it just as it is. When we do that on a beach, in a mountaintop, in Ireland, watching a sunset, gazing at the stars, or hugging someone we love, we're not thinking, analyzing, problem solving. We're just there in that moment. The effect of that is peacefulness. So one of the many reasons why mindfulness has sort of become quite popular is because it is an antidote to the busyness and the stress and the chaos of our minds, to be able to learn this attention skill of bringing our attention into this moment, being where we are and just being here fully. Often most of our stress comes from our minds, from thinking. It is thinking about, how am I going to fix this? What if this happens? Or sometimes, why did that happen? Why did they say that? Why did that have to happen? So you can see the consciousness of our minds, our thought patterns are often cast into the future, about future events that we're worried about, or stuck in the past about something we're often upset about. There was a Harvard research study that showed that about half the time when we're physically present, our minds are wandering. And the majority of that mind wandering is usually not thinking about these beautiful places, but it's stuck in stressful thought, an anxiety-provoking, uncomfortable thought. So mindfulness is a type of brain training to bring our attention into this moment right now. And the amazing sort of magical powers of mindfulness are that when we really just settle into this moment right now, we're usually okay. If you think about where you are right now, you're probably sheltered, you're probably fed. In this moment, you're probably safe, I hope, in just this moment. So we can connect to this sense of I'm okay. And we can connect to this beautiful sense of inner well-being. And we can let go of the stressful thoughts for just a few moments. That's mindfulness. It gives us this ability to find that peaceful moment, just like you did in that guided visualization, more often throughout our day, throughout our lives, in ordinary moments. And that is a huge gift. The other thing I wanted to point out about that guided visualization is the incredible power of our minds. Just like our minds can be caught in the tornadoes or the torrents of stressful thought that then trigger our stress response in the body, causing rapid heartbeat, causing high blood pressure, causing inflammation, causing insomnia, right? It can have our brains, our minds, our thoughts can have incredibly negative impact on our physical body. In that same way, we can learn to use our minds to create calm, to create ease, to deactivate our stress response, just like we did for those few minutes in guided visualization. So that exercise was meant to just give you a taste of how powerful the mind can be. On a side note, I use that guided visualization often when I'm in a situation that I just need to kind of turn off what's happening around me and just relax. For example, I used that in an MRI a few years ago when I was feeling quite anxious, and instead of focusing on where I was, which is what mindfulness is, guided visualization like that is also a brain exercise that can take you away from it for a few moments just to recalibrate and to find some peace. So all of these exercises that I'm teaching are brain trainings of how to use the power of our minds to best serve us, to find calm and peace when we need it, so that we can calm down, we can be where we are, and then we can move forward in a wiser, calmer way. Mindfulness is so important right now also because we need to figure out how to move through these very challenging and uncertain times. The world around us feels quite uncertain, quite unfamiliar, and that is very disorienting to our bodies. It's upsetting. And so mindfulness is an amazing tool that helps us sort of reel in that distraction, that feeling of imbalance, that not knowing where to go next, and find some certainty and some calm internally. So it's an incredibly important tool for that reason. Okay, so that is what mindfulness is. So now I'd like to walk you through some actual mindfulness exercises. And for these exercises, we're going to use two different tools that are sort of the cornerstones of mindfulness meditation. They are your breath and your physical body. Both your breath and your body are always here with you, right? Wherever you are, you have your breath and you have your body. And we're going to use those two objects to be the objects of our attention. They are an amazing tool to help kind of collect our attention when our attention is feeling scattered or distracted or unfocused, or when our minds are feeling really anxious. So these exercises are brain training to collect our attention, to bring it into the moment by focusing on our breath or the sensations in our body. One important note is that the breath is an incredible tool. It's like a remote control for the nervous system. So just taking a few slow, deep breaths will actually literally deactivate our fight or flight response, our stress response. Taking a few slow, deep breaths gives our mind something to focus on, the sensations of the breath, so we move our attention away from the busyness and the stressful thoughts. And a slow, deep breath activates what we call the parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest response. One last thing before we begin this guided meditation is when we're in a heightened state of stress, it is very hard to think and to focus and to use the parts of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, which is the executive functioning part of the brain. There's emotional regulation there. There's proper decision making. There's wise thinking. So when we're in this heightened state of alert, we often don't know how to make good, calm decisions. So this is an incredibly important tool when we're feeling like that, to just do these exercises, and then we can think through the what's next. There's a beautiful quote that I love to say, that when we are truly present and we understand exactly where we are, the what's next becomes more obvious. So we don't have to try so hard to figure it out. We can just be where we are and then move forward from there. So let's go ahead and do this mindfulness exercise. I am here every Thursday through June, so this is just the beginning, but I just wanted to mention that we'll try this together, and then we're going to build on these skills in the weeks to come. Next week, we're going to talk about mindful parenting and how incredibly important these skills are in creating a calm home and bringing mindfulness into the home and in teaching our kids these skills, which are invaluable in life. I have 3 kids of my own, as Nicole said, and my oldest son is in college, and I'll never forget when he called me freshman year and he said, "Mom, I was feeling very stressed, and I went for a walk and I took a few deep breaths and it really helped." And I just thought, awesome. He listened to all those years of mindfulness that I was practicing in the home. So there are endless ways to use these practices, and I hope you will join me now for this guided meditation and for the next few Thursdays as we explore how to use these in all aspects of our lives. Okay, so for this exercise, I'm just going to ask you to find a comfortable position or seat. Wherever you are is fine. You can do this meditation either with your eyes open and just find a spot in front of you to gaze, to look at. You can close your eyes as well if that's comfortable. And let's start with a nice, slow, deep breath. So breathing in through your nose, breathe in, take a nice deep inhale. And a big exhale. Let's do that again, slowly breathing in, letting your belly soften, letting your ribs expand as you inhale. And the nice big exhale. Beautiful. Now take a moment to see if you can notice or pay attention to just the felt sensations in your body right now. How does it feel? Can you just notice how it feels to sit? We are so often moving, doing, especially working moms, that I'm giving you permission, and you should give yourself permission in these next few moments to just be here. And we can begin to do that by noticing how it feels. Can you notice the feeling of contact your body's making with the chair beneath you? Maybe it's firm, maybe it's soft. If your feet are touching the ground, can you notice the contact or connection your feet are making with the floor? Can you notice the weight of your body or even that gentle, subtle feeling of gravity connecting you to the earth below? Then gently scan your body just with your attention. We're in essence getting to understand and feel our bodies from the inside out, not by looking at our bodies, but by feeling, noticing how we feel in this moment. And see if there are any places that feel tight or tense. We often hold our stress and anxiety in our bodies. So for the next moment or two, we're going to invite in a bit of relaxation into this moment. So soften the muscles in your face, around your eyes, your forehead. Loosen your jaw. Relax your neck and your shoulders. Beautiful. Let the muscles in your back soften and relax. Let your arms become heavy. Let your legs just relax and be supported by whatever's beneath you. And let's take a nice, slow, deep breath together, breathing in. And as you exhale, letting go of any remaining tension or tightness in the body. Beautiful. And let's take another slow, deep breath in and out of our noses. And this time, just notice how that feels as you inhale. Can you feel your belly expanding? Can you feel your chest opening? And take even a deeper inhale than you normally would, noticing how much air you can really take in. And then a very slow, very long exhale. Imagine almost like a balloon deflating. You're slowly letting the air out, squeezing all of that stale air out of the body. Letting go. Let's repeat that again. A big, beautiful inhale. And a big exhale. Beautiful. One more time, just focusing on the felt sensations of a slow, deep breath. Breathing in. Nice big exhale. Then let go of control of the breath. As you exhale, just let your body breathe on its own. See if you can open your attention to your whole body and just notice how you feel in this moment. I often say to myself with a little mantra in my mind, I am here. I have arrived in this moment. And finally, I invite you to put one hand on your chest. If you'd like, this beautiful sense of touch is quite healing. A lot of interesting science about touch, and just your hand on your heart, on your chest. Notice how that feels. Can actually do a lot of good. And just send yourself a big thank you. A big thank you for taking this time to take a moment to pause and to breathe. A thank you for giving yourself a moment to unwind, to let go of tension or stress in the body. And finally, a big thank you for all that you do every day for yourself and for your family. We're all doing the best we can, and just know that all that you're doing is enough. And let's end this meditation with one last breath together. So take a nice big inhale and a nice exhale. Beautiful. Beautiful. And whenever you're ready, I'll just ring the bell, but you can listen to the sound and slowly open your eyes. Nice. Thank you for joining me for that meditation. So if you have questions, go ahead and type them in the chat box. And while you do that, I'm just going to highlight the important points that we just did in that meditation. And again, I really encourage you, if you enjoyed this meditation, to join me next Thursday at 8:30 for part 2 of this practice, because meditation, much like going to the gym, the more you do it, the more benefit we get from it. And it's building muscle, it's building mental muscle to find calm, to find balance, to connect inward to ourselves, to our own inner guidance system, to our own inner wisdom, and to our hearts. So important to give yourself this moment of self-care. In that meditation, we practiced, as you may have noticed quite quickly, that our minds are very busy and we have a lot of thought. So every time we notice thought, we just bring it back. It's okay if your mind was busy. That's normal. What we're doing is we're beginning to learn to notice these thoughts that just keep popping up and how we can just focus on right now, on the body, to give our minds a break. And the more we practice it, the more that the thought becomes kind of background. It gets really quiet and we can just be where we are. So it's a mental training. It's also a beautiful insight into where we're holding physical tension in our body, which is so important, and an opportunity to unwind, to let that go. And finally, to just connect to a big, beautiful breath. So I encourage you in the next week to take moments, a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and just do that. Feel your body, feel your feet on the ground. Take a nice mindful breath. Know you are breathing when you are breathing. And just give yourself a moment to let go, to settle in. Those little moments of mindfulness can change your whole day. Just do them a few times in the day. It helps de-escalate our stress response. It helps collect our attention to just where we are and give less power because we're giving less attention to all these thoughts that aren't even about what's happening in this moment. Amazing. So amazing. I'm just looking. I don't know that we had any questions, but I want to thank you so much for joining me for this moment of self-care, for this introduction to mindfulness and meditation. Again, my name is Cheryl Browse. I am from Pause to Be Present. Check out our website and all of our offerings, but we are very thrilled to be part of this beautiful summit to support working moms. We, myself and my other co-founder, are working moms. And we're doing this work because we know how vitally important this is to offer working moms and all people ways to unwind, to find some calm in the midst of this uncertain world, and to find really healthy tools to share with ourselves and our homes and our communities and our world. So thank you for taking the time to breathe with me. You're welcome, Erin. Thank you for joining us.